Hi, and welcome to another episode of SMECO Connects. I'm Tom Dennison, and have the good fortune of filling in for our leader today, Sonja Cox, who's unable to be here. But I'm so happy to welcome two of my favorite folks here at SMECO, who I've worked with for a number of years. And I tell you, there's a lot of times where Sonja will get phone calls, I'll get phone calls, and we rely on people internally. And you two are those couple of those people, and I can't thank you guys enough for being here. So, Ashley, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do? How long have you been here at SMECO? And then we'll move on to Beth.
Of course. Ashley Beauvais, Credit and Collections Retail Choice Supervisor. Started in the contact center part-time, worked my way up. Now I oversee the Credit and Collections department, the inside team where we work with the assistant agencies, putting pledges on the accounts, things like that. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here. Beth, how about you?
So I'm Beth Mast. I'm the Credit and Collections Retail Choice Director. I oversee the Credit and Collections team and the Regional Services team. I've been with SMECO for 19 years. Got my foot in the door. I was a cashier. I love the face-to-face interaction with our customers, and that's what got me in the door. I've transitioned over to Credit and Collections and then moved into a management role. I oversee the internal team of Credit and Collections as well as the external field reps that visit properties. And then Regional Services is our face-to-face customer interaction, paying your bills and construction work and so forth.
Yeah, so 19 years. So we started about the same time, if I remember correctly. And you are far better looking and haven't aged compared to me. So it's very nice to see you here, and you have a big job. So I'll tell you a couple quick stories when I get phone calls about elected officials, board of directors, various people who call and say someone is, having issues paying their bill, or someone has an issue with what's happening on their account and things. And, there's a couple of key people who I call, and you both are those people. And I know that it's always a little bit of a challenge sometimes when I call, but you always work through that issue. So, Ashley, moving from the contact center to your current position, tell us about that transition and sort of what's a typical day like for you when you deal with our members on, from a credit and collection standpoint.
So in the contact center, it was more speaking with the customers on the phone, trying to work through payment arrangements, doing what we can do to help the customer on that side of things, working through their problems, just talking it through. But on the collection side of it, it's a little bit more like behind the scenes. It's working with the agencies, seeing what kind of pledges, what kind of grants that they can get, what their problem is, what's their financial situations, and see what pledges, what arrangements are going to work best for them.
What type of agencies do you work with?
So actually just last month, or March 5th, we actually hosted an agency meeting. And we had OHEP, we had Salvation Army, Lifestyles, local churches, where we all came together and just talked through different ideas to see how we could make the process a little bit more seamless for SMECO, for the agencies, and for the customer to make it easier.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. OHEP, for our those of us who are watching from at home, Office of Home Energy Programs. It's a state agency, right? And they provide assistance to those who are having trouble paying their bills, correct?
Correct. Yep. So OHEP is income-based. So you qualify whether it's EUSP, where it goes towards your current energy bill, or MEEP, where it's more geared towards your heating element, or USPP, which is the disconnect protection, which as long as you get the grants, you can be put on an arrangement, or the arrangement is needed to be on that disconnect prevention plan. And it's a good program to be a part of, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful for people to understand that we we've had a number of these podcasts, just so you know, about the winter that we just had and those agencies, those avenues that we have, and we try to talk to our membership about when it comes to paying those bills. And I think it's really helpful to have you all here to explain that there's other agencies out there. And I love the fact that we have the churches and the Salvation Army and the lifestyles and things. They come here, interact with the people who are on the front lines, and we hear their side of the story as well. And so Beth, have you seen that kind of evolve over the years where we do a lot more of that, where we bring people in and try to see like where their touch points are and how we can help?
Sure. So through the years, and we've tried to make this an annual meeting for our outreach to the community. Anybody that would like to come that is a assistant agency to our SMECO customers, we reach out and invite them. It's a really good opportunity to discuss what, like Ashley had shared, what we're seeing, what they're seeing, if they have funding available. We don't want to guide our customers to an organization that doesn't have funding available, that, they're unable to help. It's also an opportunity for us to learn about exactly what they're doing. It's not just utility help.
Sure.
It's rent, it's fuel, it's, I need help. I got a flat tire. There's organizations that help with that, you had this unexpected cost
Right.
that they can assist you with. So it was really eye-opening to hear all the, like I said, organizations that are able to help throughout our community. As far as SMECO standpoint, our last resort is to disconnect service. So we try to share as much information as we can to give the opportunity for our customers to reach out to these programs prior to that, to prevent that disconnection. And we include that online. It's on our pink term notice that is mailed out to the properties. There's actually deliveries done by field representatives. That information is also included in the packet. We actually have the OHEP flyer that lists the income base and the amount of people in your home, if you qualify or not. With OHEP, it's a 30-day income review. So if you didn't qualify this month, but you lost your job, you may qualify, at that point. So it's always just, just informal information that we can give to help our customers.
Yeah, because like you said, the last resort is disconnect. And I think it's helpful for people to understand too that we recently went through a government shutdown, and we no questions asked. If you're a federal worker impacted by that, call us. Let us know. Put a hold on any sort of disconnect or anything like that. And that was I don't want to call it a popular program, but that was something that a lot of people responded to, correct?
Correct. Yes. It was just a way to, I guess, help ease the burden because it was a very uncertain time.
Yes.
We weren't sure how long it was going to last. So if they reached out to us, we would make arrangements, place that hold, do what we needed to do to help our customer.
Sure. And Ashley, what have you heard mostly through this winter? Has it just been usage based in terms of the high bills, or has it been maybe they've been behind a couple of months, or kind of what's the common thing you've been hearing mostly?
So honestly, a little bit of both.
Okay.
We know our February bills were extremely high.
Yes.
Everybody across the board, because we know we had the extreme cold in January, and it lasted for almost 2 weeks straight. I mean,
Yes.
it didn't get above freezing at all. So our usage was high, and it was for everybody in general. So with those high bills, and even if you're just past due a little bit, adding that on top is very difficult to maintain. So I would stress, call us. If you are not sure, there's options. We have the assistant agencies again. We have payment arrangements. We have, just other options. And our contacts and our reps are awesome.
They
and
are. They really are.
Willing to help. So just when in doubt, call us and we can help you work through.
And I think before you all were here, the last podcast we did, we had some contact center folks, and And I realized that you can actually go through Account Manager now and get onto a payment plan and that kind of thing, which, some people may not want to make that phone call, but having the ease to do it online is a big deal. And and that kind of brings me to another question, Beth, about have you seen more and more people paying their bills online, doing more, maybe through the app, those types of arrangements?
Sure. I mean, those are the most popular,
Right.
the most convenient. We do still have walk-in customers.
Right. And you're in charge of those folks, right? I mean, who are there taking the payments, right?
Right. Yes. And I'll say that most of those customers are a routine. They come in every month. It's nice to see their faces. But that's normally, there might be some new customers that maybe had their power disconnected or are at that point that they want to make a payment immediately and they want to do it in person.
Yes.
So we do have 2 offices to do that. But I would say our most popular is probably online and calling through the telephone and paying that way through our automated system.
I think that there's a certain sense of security with people who come to our offices. We have an office in Leonardtown. We have an office here in Hughesville where people can park their car, walk in, see a friendly face, and say, I need help with this bill.
Right.
Or I had an issue at my house where I had a power outage and now my refrigerator isn't working. Those types of things. And your folks have to be a jack of all trades when it comes to answering questions. Is that?
That's correct. Pretty much like the contact center.
Yes.
You have to be ready to answer, or if you don't know the answer, how to find that answer.
Right.
And we're very, very well trained to do so.
You have to be because, somebody could come in and talk about, unfortunately, they have a tree that needs to be cut near their power line, or God forbid something, we were doing work and they cut a line and they need it repaired, or they have service questions, they have billing questions. And I think it's important for us to always have that option available. I think people like that. And I certainly, I like the fact that a lot of people have migrated online, but there's always that in-person element that needs to be there. And so we do have to talk a little bit about disconnects now. And I think it's helpful for people when I talk in Annapolis, when we talk about disconnections, and there's always discussions about moratoriums on disconnects. The problem that I think people don't realize is when customers accrue large arrearages and there's a moratorium in place where they just kind of let those bills stack up, then when that moratorium is lifted, then you're looking at 3 to 4 months worth of bills, and in some cases it could be thousands of dollars. So that I'm sure, Beth, you remember when we had a moratorium on disconnecting during the winter time, and now we still have restrictions, but that was kind of a detriment to people, right?
Yes, because when that moratorium was there, the mindset was I have till April 1st.
Correct.
And that it built to a point that it was overwhelming for our customers and hard to find support in the thousands to be able to get assistance. So, yes, I remember that very well.
Yeah.
Yes, we can disconnect in the winter, like you said, and we do have winter restrictions that we have to follow that are through the Maryland Public Service Commission. But we do complete
those
disconnects.
restrictions, Beth. What are those off the top of your head?
So through the winter months, we're required to do an affidavit, which is an upload to the commission that advises them of the customers that are getting disconnected. The most important thing is there's a weather restriction.
Right.
We do not disconnect when our air temperatures will not exceed 32 degrees and a 72-hour period. If it rises above 32 in each of those 3 days, then we are eligible to disconnect for non-payment. Not to go off of winter, but we also have a similar type of restriction for summer. more recently, they implemented a heat index restriction on top of air temperature. Follows the same suit. It's a 3-day window. We cannot exceed 95-degree air temperature and 95-degree heat index.
So
If it exceeds that, we're stopped.
The hot Southern Maryland humid summers, those heat indexes get to 95 a lot.
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
And so, and like we've said, disconnecting is obviously the last resort, and there are numerous notifications that go out, including a personal element to it,
Right.
and we just encourage our members, our customers to just call us, and we don't want to get to that point because unfortunately, when you have to disconnect someone, a lot of times it's a lot more expensive to get it turned back on, right?
Yes.
Because of, fees associated with it and those types of things.
Right. Yes. So there is, your past due balance that we notified you of with your pink term notice. And there's a good chance that in between that notice going out and when we come to your door, there's now a new bill or newer that
Yes.
has now gone past due. So once you're disconnected, in order to be reconnected, you do have to pay all your past due balances. Current bill, we can work with you on, but any past due balances. So sometimes it is more costly. Just from the past due balance part of it. And then there is fees associated. There is a reconnect fee and a collection fee that is required to be paid. And if you're disconnected, there's also, if we're not holding a deposit, which is to secure that we're not left with the balance in the end, if there's not enough money in that deposit or you don't have one because we didn't charge one at the beginning of it because you had it waived, there's a chance that you could be assessed an additional deposit.
Right. To get it turned
yeah.
back
So it's definitely more costly if we cut you off. We try to provide as much notification as we can that you have a past due balance. Like you said, you get a term notice in the mail. We make at least two calls. And one is during the day, and one's usually after 6, trying to catch you if you're home
good to
or
know.
at work. And then there is at least one personal delivery to the property before services are disconnected.
Yeah, and I think it's also helpful to note that SMECO is a co-op, and so we're all owners, all of us. And when people don't pay their bill, I mean, those costs have to be made up by the
Right.
rest of the membership, right?
That's
so it's always helpful to know that when you have past due balances and things that if those cannot be paid, the rest of us are subsidizing those. So we always just stress that as a not-for-profit, as a co-op, that it does impact us. And so I think that's just kind of helpful for everyone to know and understand that. So Ashley, just we're kind of wrapping up here. Just kind of tell us a little bit about what motivates you, what kind of keeps you going here at SMECO, and kind of what do you like about your job?
So I would say I just love being a part of the SMECO community. We have a great team, a great boss. It's all around a great community. Even just out and about when I'm at sporting events with my kids and things like that, I'm wearing my SMECO shirt and a customer will come up to me and ask, "Do you mind if I ask you a question?" Absolutely. I'll help you as much as I can.
Sure.
So I love being a part of the bigger picture. And of course, helping the customers day in and day out and doing everything we can to keep the power on in general.
That's a great
really
message.
motivates me.
Yeah, and we also, before we end, we have a Members Helping Members program. Talk a little bit about that.
So we have the Members Helping Members program, which is a SMECO program, and customers pay into it. Optional. You can pay into it $5, $10, $15, $20, however you want to help. And with that, so the OHEP office actually handles like who qualifies or who gets the Members Helping Members funds. So some of the requirements for the Members Helping Members is the balance has to be $1,000 or less, and they have to at least make one payment. So just an attempt and keep that balance at $1,000. And Members Helping Members will pledge that amount or pay that amount to help you get caught up.
And that's administered through a third party here in Hughesville?
Yes, the application process is, yes.
Yeah. So the Members Helping Members program is very helpful. People are very generous, and
They are.
and I like that we can. It's not necessarily housed right here at SMECO, but the folks at Tri-County Community Action deal with the applications and all that. But if necessary, we can intervene to try to help the process along, I guess.
Yes, sure. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And Beth, how about you? What do you like most about working here, and kind of the satisfaction, I guess, you have?
So when I started here, I look back at the history. I've had lots of family and friends that have worked here and retired from here. My grandmother is one of them.
Okay.
She's 98 years old.
Really?
She can't tell me what she did at SMECO, but she knows she worked here. She does have dementia, but she remembers she worked here.
Wow.
So she loves, if my picture gets in the Watt News, you better believe she's got it.
Nice.
So, and like Ashley shared, I really think it's that I live here. Mm-hmm. I'm a customer of here. I'm part of the community of SMECO, and I'm part of the community in Southern Maryland. Raising my family here. It's just a really well-rounded organization that we get to be part of. And I love my job.
Yeah. And we provide a very vital service.
Yes,
and
we do.
People in your spots, people in my spots, as long as we have a cell phone, we're available. And I'll just tell a quick story that I have two daughters, and I was at a softball game one time, and I had to make a call to you. And I think you were at a 4-H thing with your kids. And
yes, I was.
It just gives a little bit of an example of, it was a Saturday, but we care about the community. We care about the folks who we serve. We care about our jobs, and we care about this organization. So it's it's part of the job, and it's something that I think we take a lot of pride in. And I can't thank both of you enough for what you do for our membership, but most importantly, our fellow SMECO employees here. And it's really nice having you here. And thank you for all you do. So with that, I think we'll end it there. And I appreciate everything, and have a good rest of your Friday.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.